Good evening. Most of us know that at some point in our lives we're going to face some form of adversity. It's inevitable. An idea or concept I actually read about not too long ago is kind of quite simple of how people approach adversity. It can be taken to context in regards to an individual, or whether you're a member of a team, group, or organization. It could be used from any of those standpoints. Pretty much this concept states there are two types of people when adversity strikes. There's problem people and there's solution people. Problem people like to do three things that's called the BCD principle. First, they want to blame. They want to be able to point fingers and blame their problems on somebody else. Second thing they want to do is they want to complain. They just want to complain about the situation and have no progress in trying to solve it. And finally, they want to defend. They'll defend their actions and standpoints no matter what. Solution people are essentially the opposite. They will do whatever they can to get through their adverse situation. Now you're probably asking yourselves, what does this have to do with Christianity? And it applies in this manner. There are people out there that will go out of their way and to blame people. Sometimes people will tend to blame God when things don't go well. They'll end up saying things such as, I don't know why God would put me through something like this. I do the right things. I go to church regularly. I read my Bible daily. I do the right things. Why me? One of the things that stood out to me when I was reading this idea was that while there were three things that pointed out what problem people did, there weren't really things that pointed out to what solution people did. So after a few hours of kind of brainstorming and just kind of actually typed this up before I went to bed one night on my phone, I typed up essentially three things that solution people do to overcome adversity. And the piece of scripture I would like to observe to kind of illustrate my point is James chapter 1, verses 2 through 8. So if you want to go to that, you can. If not, you don't have to. But okay, so the first point I want to talk about it's a principle called It's called ESV. First point is evaluate. This means you have the ability to step back and examine the adverse situation without doing something irrationally, such as losing your cool, breaking things around the house, making poor choices based on emotions at that time. So if you'd like to read along, I'll be beginning in verse 2 of James chapter 1. It says, Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. Notice in this verse when it says, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. We need to understand that adversity is another way of testing us. With rational thinking, we'd be able to notice this. Now, the second part of I actually said ESV, it's ESB, my apologies, but the second part is seek. This refers to understanding what you do know about the situation, but what you don't know. Now, from a personal standpoint, I've had situations where I've said to myself, I don't know. It kind of quite happens to me a lot, but that's just me. What I find myself doing as a result is, if I don't know an answer, I will try my best to find people who will know. In James chapter 1, verse 5, it says, if anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask God, for who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given to him. This verse backs up my point because it clearly states we need to ask God for wisdom to overcome situations. This is not to say we shouldn't seek the guidance or seek help from other people or for those around us. We need to have the awareness to seek answers when we don't know. The final part of the ESB principle is to believe. This doesn't necessarily mean all you have to do is believe in yourself and all your wildest dreams will come true. This isn't a Disney movie or anything like that. This refers to believing in the process of overcoming adversity, believing in the people you surround yourself with to overcome it, believing in the steps necessary to overcome adversity, and believing that over time, whether it's a day, month, year, or multiple years, you will overcome it. In James chapter 1, verse 6 through 8, it says, but let him ask in faith with no doubting, for the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is driven and tossed by the wind. For that person must not suppose that he will be receiving anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. When James was teaching the believers in these few verses, he essentially tells them to ask for wisdom and faith with absolutely no doubt. It is important to believe not only believe, but to have no doubt in your mind that the methods you are utilizing will help you overcome whatever situation you're in. So to conclude, I would like to leave with this thought. I did not discuss this principle because I consider myself successful at knowing how to handle adversity. As a matter of fact, I consider myself weak at times. I mean, I'm really experiencing that right now. I'm going through grad school, but, that's a totally different thing. But as I get older, I believe I have improved and I'm able to recognize adversity when it strikes. Adversity doesn't care if you're a Christian or not, if you're rich or poor, educated or not educated, athletic or non-athletic. It will hit you at any time. So when adversity strikes, you have two choices. You could either be part of the problem and blame, complain, and defend, or you could be part of the solution and evaluate, seek, and believe, just like how James spoke about in James chapter 1 in the few verses I just read. So if you're here tonight and you need the prayers of the church or you'd like to be baptized, please come forward as we stand and sing.